Hi, YouTube fam. It's Mama Robin, or Texas Beach Mom. I am back. If you are a regular family member and you've come back, thank you for coming in. Sit down, make yourself comfortable. And if you're new here, as I said, I am Mama Robin, or Texas Beach Mom, whichever you prefer. Again, sit down and make yourselves comfortable. And of course, it's Watts Wednesday. So, that's what I'm doing here today. I've been struggling, trying to figure out something new to talk about. And I've noticed that WTO has a lot of new videos, bombshell information. So I thought, okay, maybe she learned something new. No. She's talking about a lot of the same things I talked about weeks ago. So I don't really have anything new. She points out, and I'm not knocking her, she does a lot of work on her videos that I don't know how to do. So she has every right to be proud of her work. That's not where I'm going. It's just not new information. She's presenting it like it's something new, and of course it's not. But one can hope that there's new information out there, and there really isn't. But she does. I'll go, if you haven't watched her, or if you don't watch her, I'll go over what she goes over that I've already covered. She didn't cover anything that I haven't already covered. I covered some of this weeks ago. Some of it I've covered, months ago. But nonetheless, she does bring up the fact that we've already know that, or it was already discussed. None of us know this, but it was discussed that it says in the discovery that Nicole Kessinger is a protected witness. Not, and I've said this very clearly every time, not witness protection program. Not. But it does say protected identity in parentheses next to her name. So she was a protected witness before they interviewed her. They already knew that she was going to be a protected witness. I don't know why. We still don't know why, but she was. Not witness protection program. They are different things, but definitely a protected witness. We don't know why. Nobody seems to know why, but she was. She talks about Dylan Tallman's book a little bit. She talks about the ultimatum that Chris says that Nicole gave him. I believe that. I don't believe everything Dylan's book says. Not calling Dylan a liar. I'm just saying that he's merely repeating what he was told. So, in Dylan's book, she talks about how Chris says that Nicole gave him an ultimatum. And I believe it. Matter of fact, again, and I will ring this loud and proud again, because let me backtrack a second. When I talk about things like Dylan Tallman's book or Sherlyn Cadle's book or someone else's video, I'm very clear on what parts I believe and what parts I don't. That doesn't mean that you can't believe what you want. That doesn't mean you have to follow what I believe. I have never, ever even implied that. This is just my opinion. So for my opinion, I believe most of what Dylan says. And again, I'm not saying that Dylan's not being honest. I'm saying that he's just repeating what he was told. Now, I've heard some critics of his books say things like, well, he saw an opportunity to make money. Yeah, he did. He took the words of a convicted family annihilator and he turned them into money. That's what most people do in the United States anymore, is they see a golden opportunity and they jump on it. I mean, I can't honestly say that I fault him for it. That was not the original intention of the book. The book was supposed to be him and Chris working together for Book of Prayers and whatnot, and Chris backed out of it. So he decided, you know what? I'll just go ahead and write a book on this stuff. He told me because Dylan has intended to write a book, period. Dylan doesn't want, from what I understand, and I base this off the very tiny bit that I have talked to his girlfriend in the comments. Dylan, and the little bit that I've read about him, Dylan doesn't want to continue a life of prison. He wants to get out of prison. He wants to make a life for himself. One way he can do that is to be an author. And the Chris Watts books are not the only books he has out. He has other books out. I would suggest going to check them out on Amazon. But, again, not my point, because I'm not here selling books. I'm just saying that I can't fully fault him for making money off of it. Everybody else are not. Content creators, if they're making money on their channels, which I'm not, but if they're making money on their channels, they're making money off Chris Watts too. So, I can't say anything. I'm not one of those creators. I don't make any money. I don't have enough subscribers. But if you've got a fair amount of subscribers like WTO or ATS, or higher up than them even, you're making money off Chris Watts just as much as Dylan Tallman is, so you can't really fault Dylan Tallman for doing the same thing that a bunch of YouTubers are doing. But not the point. That's not why I'm here. So, I did kind of check out her bombshell video, and she doesn't have bombshell information. She has information that again, I am not cutting her down for the work she does on her videos. She does work that I don't know how to do. And I finally downloaded some stuff to my laptop, some software on my laptop, trying to figure out how to edit videos. I'm learning, but I'm not there yet. So I might start doing a little bit better videos than what I'm doing now. But whatever the case may be, with that being said, in the meantime, while I'm learning, they're going to be more like this. But back to my point. So she talks about how Nicole was a protected witness, not witness protection program, but a protected witness, because it says that in the discovery. She talks about how Tammy Lee knows. She says she knows that Nicole Kessinger was not an eyewitness. Now, I don't know if she just says that to get Nicole to talk more, or if she actually believes Nicole's not an eyewitness. We don't know if Nicole's an eyewitness. Some of us think she was, some of us think she wasn't. Based on Dylan Tallman's book, she wasn't an eyewitness. Based on Dylan Tallman's book, Chris told Dylan that Nicole showed up after he killed Shanann because he called her. He called her and said, "Hey, I killed Shanann." And she's like, "Well, now that you've killed her, you might as well kill the girls too." And he's like, "Okay." I don't think that the girls were originally part of the plan. I don't even think he was originally going to kill Shanann. I don't think that it was... I don't think it happened spur of the moment. I do think it was premeditated. When this first started going through his head, I think the original thought was divorce. Then he started thinking about ways to kill. And then he thought, no, I don't want to mess with divorce. People will know that I'm a piece of shit. And I don't want anybody to know that I'm a piece of shit. So I won't divorce her. I'll just kill her. And I'll make it seem like she ran off. Well, then after he killed the girls too, he had to make it seem like she ran off and took the girls with her, which gives him more sympathy. Because not only did she run off and leave him, she took those girls from him. So that gives him more sympathy, which is what he wanted. He wanted the sympathy of, oh, poor me. My wife left me and took my children, and now all I've got is a girlfriend. But she does talk about the timeline leading up to the day of the death. She does talk about the fact that the night, I believe it was the night before, her and Chris come home from North Carolina, there was lots of discussions about divorce. And at that point, when he had a chance to bring up divorce, he said, I don't want to get divorced yet. There's a lot. She talks about the conversations between them, and there points out a lot of mixed messages from Chris, which there was. There was a lot of mixed messages. There was, 1 minute he was flip flopping. 1 minute, oh, I don't want a divorce yet, but we're not compatible. But I don't want a divorce. But and that's a common thing. And actually, narcissists, because like when I was dealing with my ex, he would flip flop on me like that. But that's a common thing. That's fairly common because he doesn't really want. As much as he claims he resented her, or people talk about the resentment, on one hand, he talks about how she was a good wife and a good mom, and then the next hand, he blames her for everything. So, that's the flip flopping. There's a lot of flip flopping with him, which is one of the reasons it's not just lying. It's just a lot of flip flopping because I don't think he really knew what he wanted. I don't think he knew what he wanted. I do believe he knew he wanted to be done with her. I don't think murdering her was the original plot, but I don't believe it was spur of the moment. I believe he actually started thinking about it before he did it, which makes it premeditated. But she didn't have anything bombshell. Like I said, she talks about Nicole Kessinger being a protected witness. She talks about Dylan Tallman's book a little bit and how there was an ultimatum. She talks about the timeline. So let me get back on the timeline thing. So there was the talk. They were talking back and forth about her Chris and Shanann were talking that night. And then they fly back home and there's more conversation. And then there's supposed to be an ultrasound reveal party and there wasn't one. And then she has to go away on business. And then that's when Lucky Dog, the conversation that we know nothing about. There was a 111-minute conversation after the Lucky Dog conversation that nobody seems to remember. And that was the same night. That was the same night that she was Googling how to marry your mistress and wedding dresses. So there was something said to Lucky Dog that made her hopeful enough to start Googling wedding dresses because she had made up her mind. She had made up her mind, whether she was physically involved or not, she had made up her mind she wanted Shanann's spot. Now that's evident in the timeline. If you go through the timeline, if you go through the discovery and you map out the timeline, that is evident in the timeline. That is actually, if you really pay attention to her interviews, she makes comments about what she wants. She says it in a different way to throw the police off. But if you really pay attention to what she says, and Deception Detective talks about this, she wanted Shanann's spot. She had made that abundantly clear. She had to have Shanann's spot. Had to have. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She had to have Shanann's spot. She wanted it. And she was going to have it. Now, like I said, I don't think the kids were originally part of it, but I don't believe in the explosion theory either. I believe that I don't believe that was Chris's plan was to kill the children. But I believe that when she gave him the ultimatum, your family or me, I think he went, okay. Like a little lapdog. So that's all she really talks about. And, I don't have much either. It's going to be harder and harder and harder to find new and interesting information for this. If anybody has an idea or a question about something that needs to be re-examined, or we need to look at it again, please by all means leave me a comment. those of you who comment on a regular basis or even semi-regular basis know that I will usually get back to you. If I don't, it's because I didn't see your comment. I typically get back to everybody. So if you have a question about something, you have something you think should be discussed, please, by all means, let me know. I'm willing. Like one of the comments that we talked about, one of the topics we talked about was the drugs. The crystal meth being referred to as ice cream and lollipops being fentanyl lollipops. That suggestion came from a subscriber, one of my original subscribers, Darlene. So that came from her, and I mentioned her in that video. I just looked into it a little deeper, and I didn't even do a big deep dive. I'm gonna be honest, because at first I kind of blew it off too. Yeah, he didn't look like he was on drugs. And to me, he didn't. I've been around people on drugs, but he may have not gotten to that. Because eventually, when you're on them long enough, you get a look. He may not have been on them long enough yet. I don't know. Had he been on them longer, he might have started getting that look. The dark circles under the eyes and the skin looks rough, and he was still holding his shit together. And she doesn't really look like a druggie either, but shit, who knows? But no, I don't have anything new. So if y'all have suggestions, questions, or comments, please just let me know. I'll read them. I'll get back to you. I'll talk about it in the next video. On with Friday nights. I had a really good Friday night last Friday night. We started talking about, I kind of put the Lady Bird Lake thing on hold because I'm finding it really hard to get the information I want on the victims. So I put that on hold. But we started talking about a case of Ben Novak Jr. and his mother Bernice Novak and their deaths. Even though it was a solved case, I found it a very interesting case. So I talked about that Friday night. I also talked about John List, who I believe technically was the original Family Annihilator. So if you all want to join me on Friday nights, we're going to be talking about various cases, not just, there won't be any Watts. I mean, I might touch on Watts slightly if what I'm talking about has anything to do or has a resemblance or similarities to the Watts case. Yes, Watts will be discussed very mildly, but for the most part, no. For the most part, we're only going to talk about whatever case I'm talking about that night. Now, Friday night, like I said, I started talking about Bernice and Ben Novak. I talked a little bit about John List. Within talking about List, I did bring up Chris Watts, but we went back to John List and then we went back to the Novaks. But yeah, come join us on Friday nights. Because I don't really have that much. I was really hoping to find some stuff, but I haven't. And I understand there's a hurricane heading towards Florida. So if I have any members in Florida, any friends, family, YouTube family in Florida, hunker down. Brace yourself. It's supposed to be heading your way. If you are impacted, I pray for your safety. So there's that. And as usual, I want you to be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. Make good choices. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If your birthday was somewhere between last Wednesday and this Wednesday, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. If you got a birthday coming up between next Wednesday, happy early birthday. Yeah, just be kind. We have a lot of division and anger and frustration. We'd all do as well to just be kind to each other. That's all I've really got. So, I hope to see some of you Friday night, and those I don't see Friday night, I'll see on Wednesday. Have a beautiful and blessed day.